All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kim Lippert, and I'll be your moderator today for the webinar. I work in the marketing department here at Batesville. I've been with Batesville almost 28 years, so I'm sure I've crossed paths with some of you. It's a bright, sunny day here in Batesville, Indiana. So I hope it is as well where you're at today. We're happy that you could take some time out of your hectic schedules. We know you're busy and we really appreciate you coming on and doing some learning and connecting with all of us. In fact, we have some funeral service professionals all the way out from Hawaii. So welcome all of you and our Canadian friends as well. And of course, everyone out there, we appreciate you joining us. So before we get started, I wanted to ask you, or not ask you, but review with you a couple of housekeeping tips. We are using Teams today. So for those of you that don't use Teams frequently, like we do here at Batesville, if you look up at the top, you will see that you have a chat box. So if you want to make any comments throughout the presentation, we'd love to hear from you. As well as the Q&A. So you can fill that out as well if you have any questions. And we will wait till the very end to answer your questions. Now, everyone is muted, but if you mark those in the Q&A section, we'll see them and we'll get those answered at the very end. So these are great tools that we use to help you stay engaged in the presentation. Today's webinar topic is an introduction to Batesville's digital showrooms. So the digital showroom was designed based on its insights from our valued funeral partners, just like each of you. So it's a really great tool designed to help guide families through the selection process. Our presenter today is Kris Reynolds. She's been with Batesville many years as well. She's sitting right next to me, so she's a good friend of mine, and she is our Batesville Digital Segment Marketing Manager. We got these long titles here at Batesville. Kris is the product manager for the digital product applications for Batesville. She's been supporting the management of cremation and digital products for close to 20 years or so, and she has experience in the funeral service industry with Batesville for many years. So we're excited to have Kris presenting this, and I'm going to turn it over now to Kris. So welcome, Kris. We thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And as Kim said, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes with us to walk through the new Family Choices digital showroom. As Kim mentioned, the digital showroom was designed based on feedback from customers like many of you, and hopefully even some of you that are on the phone today were part of the focus groups that we utilize to help develop the new tool. So I know we're short on time, and to allow time for questions, we'll go ahead and jump in and get started. So when we think about the new digital showroom, there's kind of two aspects to it. We're thinking about the benefits for families and for funeral directors. So when we think about the benefits from a family standpoint, it's really all about helping them make an informed product selection decision or a product selection decisions as they're going through the funeral planning process. So we know there's a lot of different decisions and choices that they have to make while they're going through and making the arrangements. And the decisions regarding the products that they'll utilize as part of those services or take home with them after are a key piece of that, but it's just one piece in the entire puzzle of things that they're deciding or decisions they're making for that day. And to help with that, our intent was to try to streamline it and help make personalized recommendations. And so we'll talk about the guided journey, which allows us the opportunity to be able to gather information about the family member that has passed away and provide recommendations to help streamline that product decision-making process. And a really cool new feature that we have as well is the real-time 3D product rendering. So this allows us to render the personalization on the product real time. So many of us have buying experiences outside of the funeral industry, where we're all used to kind of that product visualization, where we're able to design couches and shoes and shirts and different things and be able to see those items rendered in full 3D. And so we've tapped in with a company that's one of the leaders in that industry to help us offer the rendering both for caskets, earns, and our keepsake products. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. But then there's also benefits from your standpoint for the funeral directors. And again, that simple guided decision-making process helps all of you as well. So helping to make sure that it's a process that's easy for the family and easy to make those decisions. And then again, that personalized selection. So instead of having to go through hundreds and hundreds of different personalization options, the opportunity to tailor that to the member that has passed away. And then also the integration to Batesville Connect. So today, if you use our Meaningful Selections tool, you go through the process of gathering all the information, helping the family make their decisions. And then after they leave, you have to come back and go individually into our Batesville Connect system or call our customer service department to be able to place your order. With the new digital showroom, that's now a one button push to be able to send it over to Batesville Connect, and then you'll go through your standard checkout process, which we'll look at here in a little bit. And then the other piece is that confidence and consistent family experiences. So when we think about presenting the different decisions to the family, and you guys are doing that sometimes multiple times in a day. Or there's also opportunities where you have some newer associates that are meeting with families for the first and second and third time, and helping to make sure that there is that consistent experience and decision making that's being provided to the families. So that opportunity to be able to empower the family, help educate them, and empower the family to make those decisions. So this guided journey will also help with that, to help instill that confidence that we're continuing to present those options to every family. As part of that consistency piece, I want to take a moment and kind of step back and talk about from a cremation standpoint. So many of you feel the same concerns that others do as the market as a whole, as far as the implications of around cremation products and the frequency that those products are being selected. So in some research that we did late last year, we asked a lot of questions around cremation, the products that families are selecting, and the products that are being presented to them. And one of the things that we found was that very often the frequency of communicating those product decisions to families is not something that's always happening. So very often there's the opportunity to kind of move past that and say, oh, the family is selecting direct cremation, so I don't need to bother to ask them, the different product questions that might be available to them. And sometimes you may just be busy and, not have the time, and the family didn't ask, so not take the time to walk them through all of the different product decisions. So that's one of the key benefits of the product, the guided journey with inside of this product, is that capability to present those products from a consistent basis. So with that, it's going to take just one quick second, and we're going to move over to the digital showroom. So you'll be able to see my screen now, hopefully that has the digital showroom presented. And what we're going to do is just walk through this at a high level. So we can't, unfortunately, spend a lot of time and go through, a very detailed review. But what we want to do today is walk through and help you understand at a high level how the tool is working, how it's designed, and how it's intended to be used with families. So as you see from my screen, there's two different paths. We wanted to make sure the feedback that we received from customers as we were doing the initial research was the capability to be flexible. So the opportunity to have more of that guided experience, which is on the left with the personalized journey, but then so some instances where there's a need just to go in and just view products, which is on the right side. And so that's the product gallery. And for those that are used to using our Meaningful Selections application, the product gallery path is very similar to that. So we'll circle back to that at the end if time allows, but we want to focus on the personalized journey. As we stated, this journey is more of the guided experience. So this is intended to help walk the family through that decision-making process. And like we said, a guided and streamlined experience that helps us gather learning about the family member that has passed away, and utilize that to help shape the products that are presented to them. This personalized journey is also supported by a merchandised assortment of products. So it's a preset grouping of products that are defined either by Batesville or by you. There's a couple different options there to be able to make sure that we're presenting a good merchandised assortment to families as they go through the process. As we click into this, we start the journey, and we wanted to make this feel like a journey, kind of understanding the story and going on a journey with the family versus just gathering some statistical information to utilize as part of the decision process. So as you can see, we're going to start with their story. There's a progress tracker across the top of the page. And this is going to help show the family where they are in the experience, so they kind of know where we are as we're going through the process. As we've done the research with consumers for just in general, as far as the decision-making process related to funeral planning, they're very unsure of the decisions that they're going to make and the steps in that process. So we wanted to make that very clear as they're navigating through the process. We'll start with their story. So we're going to gather some basic information here. So we're going to enter some information about Jane Ann Smith, who passed away. We do have the opportunity to as well include a preferred name because very often, so I'm Christine. Don't like to be called Christine, but Kris is more of my preferred name. And Jane here is traditionally known as Janie. So as we get into pieces of this, we'll point out where we're gathering information, where we're going to use this information to gather that learning and help shape those recommendations from a product and personalization standpoint. So this first step, where we're going to gather information about the relationships of the decedent, we're going to use this to help start shaping those personalization options associated with the products that they select. So they'll be able to either do it one way, they can type in and select the items, they can just choose grandma and they can hit enter. They can scroll through the list to be able to identify other relationships. And again, this is going to start gathering that information that we're going to use from a personalization standpoint. They have the opportunity to enter the date of death. So Jane passed away yesterday. And we're going to also ask here whether or not they had served in the military or armed forces. This will help us, again, in shaping the decisions and determine whether or not we present information in regards to military service. As we move to the next page, as you see, we're still part of the journey. We're going to ask a decision as far as their loved one's preference. So burial or cremation. We're going to start with the burial path. And we wanted to incorporate this for two reasons. Most often, the family has already determined burial or cremation, but it is the opportunity to have that conversation with the family if they hadn't already made that decision. And then this is being used to shape the products that we're going to recommend to the family. So the caskets, the urns, the keepsake items that are presented to them based on the disposition that they select. So we're going to start with burial, as we mentioned, and then it's going to start taking us into learning more about the decedent. So it's going to we're going to start learning about religion and hobbies and interests of that decedent. We're still in the story path. And then as you can see, those of you that are familiar and use Batesville personalization, you're going to realize that these are grouped into similar groupings that we utilize for our personalization items. So we talked about relationships on that first page. We're going to talk about religious affiliations, hobbies and interests, and professions, and then their military service as well. Here we do have kind of as a starter some of the more popular religious affiliations, and the user can select multiples or single items within here. There's also additional ones that they can select from the dropdown, or if there's something that they're not aware of or that's not there, they can also include that and as part of the options available for them. So after religious affiliation, since we check the box on the first page, we're also going to be presented with the military service. Here we're going to select, again, they perhaps maybe served in, we're going to say, maybe these go better back together or together better. They were in the Navy, and then they also, after the Navy, served in the Coast Guard. There are options here for additional military service or affiliations that they can select here as well. And then we're going to move to the next step. Here, because there are so many different choices available for personalizations or for professions, associations, hobbies, and interests, you see we're not starting with the visuals, but instead we're going to start with the type ahead box that they can leverage to be able to type in items. I always like to type in product manager. I never included this as part of it, but there is the opportunity to be able to add that into there. So it is dynamic. So there are unique things that are not part of the pre-selected options, those can be typed in and selected as well. So we're going to select a couple here as far as those. And we're going to move to the next step. And again, hobbies and interests, working similar where we can pick these from below. We can type ahead and select them, or we can add in our own. I'm trying to think of something that maybe, oh, I did purposely take golf out, so I can include that as something to create. We can also do hobbies and interest. So gardening, for instance, might be an interest. Fishing might be another one. So you can go ahead and you can populate as many of these as you would like. It's just going to, again, help shape those personalization options that are presented to the families. As we progress out of their story, we're going to move into the product selection piece. And you'll see as we go back and look at the cremation piece, this is dynamic. So this is based on the burial path. So we're going to talk about the product, selecting the product and the personalization items associated with the casket, and then the opportunity to discuss remembrance items or keepsakes as well. So that page is really an opportunity to be able to kind of stop and walk through and explain to families the different decisions that they're going to make from a product selection standpoint. At this step, we're going to utilize this information to shape the product. So the caskets that are being presented to the family. And there's different options. So very often the family has decided, I'm selecting metal or wood, or they have the opportunity to say, hey, I'm undecided. I'm not sure what I'm interested in, and I'd like to see everything that's available. There's also an additional filter that can be applied that will allow you to see just oversized products. So if there is a need to see just oversized products, it's going to utilize that information and filter the recommended products that are presented to the family. But for our example, we're going to stay with metal caskets, and we're going to move to the next step. You will see the account that I'm using for our test account, there are a lot of full couch and half couch products. So it's going to look like a lot of similar products here. But I just wanted to point out a few things as we're looking at this recommendation. So what it's doing is it's taking the information that we had entered and it's bringing back this recommended product carousel. And so it's a limited opportunity or offering to provide the family with the opportunity to be able to view and select products in kind of more of a softer format. One of the things that we found from a consumer or family standpoint is that sometimes it's overwhelming, like meaningful selections where you could just scroll, through the whole screen of casket after casket, that the product carousel felt like a softer approach and a way to look at a small grouping of kind of recommended products with the opportunity then to view all. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is all built off of a merchandised assortment. So this is also getting to or presenting products that are at that target. So this is again helping to make better product decisions from a profitability standpoint, but also offering a nice selection of products for families at a range of price points. So this is all just general pricing, test pricing information. But as you can see, there's an assortment of products that are presented to the family based on the information that they had selected. We've also condensed the structure of the product cards. So as you'll see, these look more like a standard product card that a family might see in their standard retail buying experience, with the opportunity to be able to toggle between products. So instead of having the UG1s and UG2s as multiple individual price cards, they're consolidated into one price card with the opportunity, or product card with the opportunity to toggle between those different items. So we're going to go ahead and select the UG1 as our product to select. And as you'll see, it's now loaded the 3D rendered product. So we're using that visualization tool that I mentioned at the beginning to be able to view the product personalization and rendering as part of this. So these are all computer generated images. As I mentioned, we partnered with a company that created these computer generated images to allow us to do that real-time rendering for the product. They can continue to select different options as they get to this larger view, so that if they want to look at different product options, they can do that as well. I'm going to go back to the Sapphire, and I'm going to move to the next step. As you can see, as we go through the personalization process, again, it's giving you the opportunity to see where they are in the process and the steps associated with it. So I'm going to go through, and just for speed of time, I'm going to just make my initial selection. I have the opportunity to apply it to all the corners, and then we can see it rendered on the casket. There is the opportunity to zoom in. We can do a larger view of it as well, to make that a larger image for the family to view. And then also the ability to download that image. So very often there's the need to be able to share it with other family members. So there's the opportunity to download the image, and you can save this and provide it to the family. I'm going to skip past this, and then bring us to the next step here. So we've added that casket to our selections. So now it's making a recommendation from a keepsake standpoint as well. So these options are tailored to the things that I selected here. And I forgot to actually mention that on the personalization page. But we're seeing things here that are associated with the personalization items that we had entered previously. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to select this mother grandmother one. And what it's going to do is it's, again, going to load that product visualization tool. And I'm presented with other options as well that are part of that kind of similar theme to the mother grandmother. I'm going to be able to select the template that I want to apply the personalization to. And the really cool part is that you'll actually see that rendered directly on the product. So it really brings that to life, and allows the family to see that personalization happening real time. And so again, I've entered that information here to be able to have that as well. They can add multiples here, and then it just allows them to add it to their selections. So the keepsake items are at the top. There's also the opportunity for jewelry selections below. And in either case, there's the opportunity to view all from here as well. As you can see, we're in the remembrance items step of the process. We're going to jump quickly here into a page related to Living Memorial. So we did find that it was important to be able to share the information about the Living Memorial program with families. And very often it's how to have the conversation about Living Memorial. So we added this information as a quick step to be able to share that and gather the information about the decedent, or about the recipient, to receive the letter on behalf of the family member that has passed away. This information, when you submit the order, is going to carry through, so that you see that as part of that order as well. In the summary, we're able to see the personalization items that were selected, and allowing them to be able to see the information and the cost associated with those. All the personalization items that I had selected were included, so there's no charge. Before I do this, I'm going to quickly jump back here a minute and go back through the cremation path since I'm running short on time. I'm going to jump here quick just to point out kind of the difference from a cremation standpoint and circle us back to the conversation about, presenting all of those product options to the family. So when we think about the family and the selection of the cremation products, this, just like we saw on the burial side, we're going to walk through the steps associated with that as well. So talking about the selection and personalization of the casket, the selection and the personalization of the urn, and then the opportunity to consider remembrance items. And what you'll notice here is we're going to, instead of asking about the material type for the casket, because it's assumed that it's a wood or cremation container that would be needed, we're not going to ask that, but instead we're going to ask information about final placement, so that we're asking that to make sure that we're presenting cremation or urn products back that meet those needs. And I did something here that is causing that to not work. So we're going to skip right past that and go to view all. And just jump all the way ahead. So something has happened here, but what it's going to do is it's going to prompt them to present the casket product, that they present those casket items, and then it's going to move them into selecting the urn product. So it's making the assumption or making the opportunity for the family to make that decision from a cremation casket and container standpoint, and then be able to also make that urn product selection. With the couple of minutes that we have left, I wanted to also take the opportunity to touch on the other piece that we mentioned at the beginning, is that ability to send the items to Batesville Connect. So there's an option to do that at the time, which we don't think will happen very often while you're there with the family. So you have the option to be able to send it to the Connect cart from the summary page, or you have the opportunity to return to the home page. And then after the family has left, you have the opportunity to go in and I find that information. Oops, it helps if I spell Jane Smith's name right. To be able to go back and gather those items, and to be able to send those items to their Connect cart. So it's going to give us a couple prompts here. We put a couple steps in the process just as a little bit of a fail safe to make sure that if somebody accidentally did click it, it didn't open Batesville Connect while they're seated in front of the family. So it's going to take a minute. It's going to open Batesville Connect. It's going to bring us into that environment. And instead of taking us again directly into somewhere where someone might be able to see pricing, it's going to instead bring us to the homepage, where we're going to have the opportunity to be able to identify those items or find those items back that we had added. It looks like I had done some shopping before we entered here, so you'll see some other items in my shopping cart from a prior session. But you'll see the items that we selected here. So this is a good example. So if you had met with another family and moved those things over to your Batesville Connect cart, those items would be there, as well as the items that we had selected. It's going to bring through all those personalization options that we had selected for the family. So we see all that information there. And then we're able to go to checkout, where we'll be able to select our delivery information, and then also add in a purchase order if needed, and allow us to verify all of that information, change payment options if applicable, and place that order. I won't place it since we're actually in our in a environment that I don't want to do that. But it's really that simple to be able to take the products from the digital showroom directly into Batesville Connect and place those product orders. So with that, Kim, I know I ran just a minute or so long and we had to move a little bit faster, but wanted to take the opportunity for any questions that may have come in while we were presenting.
No, that was great. Thanks, Kris.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So right on time. We do have some questions, but before we address those, I wanted to mention we had a couple of people with some technical difficulties. And as our backup plan, we will be sending an email out probably tomorrow with a link to the recording. So you will be able to watch it there. Or if you want to share it with other people that weren't able to make the the webinar today, that's a great opportunity as well. So we do have a backup plan. I'm sorry for those of you that had some trouble getting the imagery up, but you could hear us, but you couldn't see us. So, so anyway, we do have several good questions. First of all, does the showroom only show the caskets available in their area, or does it show all caskets?
Great question. So it will only show products that are available to you based on the warehouse that provides products to you. Urns are a little bit different. Obviously, those are available for the most part nationwide, but from a casket and container standpoint, then you'll be able to just see those products that are associated with your warehouse.
All right, thank you. Second question, can our families access the digital showroom without a login?
So no. So currently the digital showroom is designed to be utilized with the assistance of the funeral home as you're meeting with the family either at their home, if that would happen, but primarily inside of the funeral home. So we are working on, so it is a development journey for us. So this isn't, kind of an initial launch of the digital showroom. Our intent is to continue to build and enhance this application so that there would be the opportunity to be able to share a link with the family so that they can go in and enter some of that initial information and they can do some initial review of the products that are available to them, and then even have those products be visible to you and your staff when the family arrives at the funeral home. So that is definitely something that's coming, but not currently available.
Does the digital showroom integrate with any other funeral home software, such as Passari or others?
Great question. We are in the process of building an integration with case management tools. So initially, that integration will be with kind of the Batesville applications. As we get into the kind of June-ish timeframe, that integration with our MIS and Halcyon applications. However, we're building it in a way that it will be able to have a connection to other case management softwares as well. So when we think about Passari and others, there will be, I won't get technical about it, but there are connections that will be available that will allow those case management tools to interface with the digital showroom to allow those products to be presented as part of that experience.
Okay, great. Can families access the digital showroom from their website? So say they don't have the Batesville website, and or from the comfort of their own home.
So kind of similar question
Yes.
to our previous, as far as the web, so from a funeral home website, so our web team is developing an alternate process to be able to just present products on the funeral home website. That will kind of be a short-term gap or short-term piece until we have that capability to be able to provide the link to the family to allow them to go and do that, kind of viewing and shopping from the leisure of their home. So there'll be a short-term tool that still allows you to present products on your funeral home websites, but the longer-term vision is to be able to then have the link that you can provide so that the family can actually access the digital showroom site.
All right. And what do they do to put prices in?
That's a great question. So there is an admin module that is utilized to be able to do all of that work. So that opportunity to do several things. So you can view the family selections. So you can view all those records that were created. So don't look too close. There's all kinds of test ones in here. But the opportunity to be able to view those. So I could go find my Jane Smith record from earlier. And be able to, oh, I'm in the wrong customer on this side. So able to access that information and be able to, again, view those selections that were made, be able to send those. Oh, I used Jane Smith in another application or another customer. You'll also be able to update your funeral home logo that you can include there. You can view product information. It's a great opportunity to be able to see the product information or the products that are associated with. So that question earlier, as far as the products that'll be available, These are the products that are available in your warehouse. You can see all of those here. You can leverage filtering to be able to access different items. So if you were just looking for caskets, you can utilize that. And then from a pricing standpoint, there's a whole retail pricing tool that allows you to be able to edit or create retail pricing. So I'll just pull up here. So this is an example of a price list that's out there that we set up for this test location. So that's all something that you can do there, as well as setting up your selection rooms, the opportunity to be able to create and manage selection rooms that would be utilized on that product gallery path. And then I just want to call out, Kim, I'm going to take a 30-second here, the opportunity to access some of the additional information. So for some of you that had indicated that you were having a few issues, there's a couple options. So as you're going through the process, there's some information here. There's also this opportunity to click this link to this Watch Now page. And this is also available once you log into Batesville.com. This has some really great information in regards to the digital showroom, some of the information that we shared today, but it also has tutorial videos that are included here that will allow you to be able to see some of the different information and things that we walk through today as another option to be able to access that information.
If there's anything else. So there was one individual that said they wish that they could make the font larger on the 3D rendering for urns. It only shows one size and then it only engraves in that size. So
great question. And so that is, so as we were kind of dipping our toe into the personalization and the online rendering, there were some initial limitations that we had just to kind of get things up and running and get some learning associated with that. So we're, as I said, it's a journey. So we're continuing to enhance that whole engraving process. I'll also add in, because I do know if there are some Batesville users that are on here as well, is one of the other questions that we received, which I assumed where Kim was going with part of her question, was in relation to, what if I needed to engrave on a different surface? So for instance, the honey brown urn, I typically engrave it on the top, but the system currently allows me to only do that on the front. So we're working on enhancements to continue to expand that, as well as expand the options that are available from a rendering of that engraving standpoint. So look for more to come. There's definitely evolutions happening on the daily as we're continuing to enhance the guided journey and that whole visualization tool as well.
all right. And it looks like we have one last question.
Sure.
In the future, would we be able to add a casket from another service area?
So at the moment, there's not because of that integration to Batesville Connect, but we are working on building out capability. So it's a little bit further down the road. The capability to add in, maybe a product that you have on your selection room floor that's not stocked at your warehouse. I do know we have some unique situations out there that occurs. So that is something that we're going to continue to look at expanding the capability. But with that integration to Batesville Connect, we do need the product to be there in Batesville Connect when the order transitions over. So more details to come on that as well. So a great question.
All right. So I just want to remind everyone that you can go out to Batesville.com, go to the resources tab, and learn more about some of the upcoming webinars. You can obtain this recording from this webinar today there as well. We have a webinar next month on May 20th at 1 p.m. on the topic of cremation, understanding the evolving needs of today's families. So that's a topic that everyone, that's trending for sure. So please feel free to go out and sign up for that. Enjoy your week. Kris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to everyone out there. We really appreciate it. And as always, we appreciate all you do for the families you serve. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.